All right, everybody. So to start day 2 off, we are starting off hot with the winners finals, Pettish versus Stan. The winner of this game will guarantee themselves in a spot in not only the grand finals for this particular tournament and a shot at getting first place, but also solidifies their shot at the PCS Trophy next week for the $500 first prize tournament. So without further ado, let's see who makes it between Stan and Pettish. It does look like we have the bans in. They both banned... I'm seeing that they both banned FR, so I'm going to go out on a limb there and say that that means they both banned Freljord will be the ban from both players, which means we are not going to see the mid-range Frostbite on the side of Stan. And on the side...
No more poetry.
Yeah, no more poetry this time, or my weird, funky St. Patty's Day hat. And... that means on the side of Pettish, who's opting to not use Freljord for mid-range Frostbite, we are actually not going to see the They Who Endure, which honestly, I think I would have rather seen a They Who Endure game than this Fiora, Garen, Mono, Demacia game. I will say, at least with They Who Endure, there's a lot of hype behind like when the Atrocity is going to get played, or if it gets drawn, or a top deck They Who Endure, or how big can the They Who Endure get. I feel like you put a lot of hype behind that and get interesting sometimes.
Sometimes, although I don't mind casting the Bannerman decks as much, I would say that I'm going to miss them, but I'm very confident that Riot is going to print some stupid broken Bannerman card, Grizzled Ranger number 2. I know you're waiting in the wings. Show me what you look
4
like.
4 mana 7/7. Say what?
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah.
Just a vanilla 4 mana 7/7.
And already,
none of this sacrificial shit.
Already too, we have like a card like Lulu. Just to quickly touch on before we enter the game, all these cards that were spoiled for Targon. You have a card like Lulu that was released that could give you a turn 3 4/4 Fleet Feather tracker. So I don't know, man. I'm already seeing some crazy Demacia stuff happening potentially with this new Targon region. And with that said, though, it does look like we are about to get into Game 1, Pettish versus Stan. So let's take it on over. All right, looks like we have the Hecarim Lucian, so the spiciest of decks in this particular matchup, going up against good old TF Swain that you were just talking about first here.
Here we go, salt and pepper, baby. Nothing too crazy, but enough to wet my palate a little bit. This is a good appetizer to start us off for the day.
I gotta say, I do love adobo. So shout out to you, mentioned adobo. I'm pretty sure I put that on damn near everything that I eat, so works for me.
I think I put chili powder on just about everything.
Chili powder's good too. Chili powder's good. So we have the hapless aristocrat from Stan getting played out first, getting that little bit of poke damage in there, and Pettish starting with at least plenty of units that will be able to chump block out some of Stan's early aggression here. I mean, we do see on the side of Stan 2 Sennas in hand as well. So Pettish will need some chump blockers, but everything will die to these Sennas unless Pettish is able to find some removal. He does have a Calling Strike in hand.
So Stan opening with these double harrowing is actually going to come in really big later. I think if we're going to sit here and we're going to say, okay, who is favored in this matchup, some of it kind of comes down to what if both players get what they want. What Pettish wants down is a Swain and Leviathan to be able to stun out Stan's board. That doesn't work against harrowing decks because they don't have a board at the start of the turn. They get that down later. And I think that Stan's overall strategy could play out for him pretty well here. He doesn't really care if he loses his board to something like a Riptide Rex, as long as he can bring it back with that harrowing, and finding both copies off the bat, that's huge.
Yeah, and we always constantly are talking about Leviathan. It's a card, it's a thing. In this case, it's kind of going to be like, all right, turn 8 Leviathan, because we already see the Leviathan in Pettish's hand, and then turn 9, Stan plays a Harrowing, and then probably a back-to-back Harrowing on his next attack turn, unless he finds some sort of rally effect, which Stan... All right, he is...
Tiana Crown
He's playing 2 Tiana, not to mention Lucian in his own right, obviously has some rally, but also 1 copy of Relentless Pursuit in there as well.
I feel like Leviathan, obviously it's great when you have Swain down, but even on its own, and it feels weird to say this because we're never going to see it outside of a Swain deck, but I think Leviathan might just be the best follower in the game right now.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I'm gonna go with a solid I agree with that.
I remember when Targon started getting spoiled and I saw that Spell Shield card, I was like, oh, this is for Leviathan. And because Swain is such a self-contained engine within Noxus, I think Swain Targon is like a very realistic option. I think that Swain is actually really cool as sort of a baseline tool for players to use if you want to experiment with a new region's pretty much anything. You can really fit anything else into the Swain deck because it is all just on the Noxus side of things. You know, if you want to try out their supporting spells, try out a Swain deck first.
And it's funny, so I've been looking into the lore a little bit more of Legends, or League of Legends, I should say. And I don't know if you know this, but there are 3 pillars to Noxus, like the actual region as a whole.
Yeah, it's like
Principles
the
of strength.
rose.
What were you gonna get? What were you
Yeah,
gonna
yeah.
get at? The rose?
The Order of the Rose.
Oh, I don't know what you're talking about, man.
It's basically like the Illuminati of Noxus.
I get, so basically the actual symbol itself represents 3 different principles of strength. One is vision, the card. See where this is going. One is might, again, the card, and one is guile, again, the card. So those are the 3 principles, and I guess the whole thing, the lore behind Noxus is that there's 3 commanders. One is Darius, one is Swain, and one is yet to be named. It's like not even in League of Legends yet.
I thought it was LeBlanc.
LeBlanc, I don't know. Maybe. You might. Honestly, I just started looking into the lore, so I'm just saying what I just read off of the League of Legends website. Fair. But anyways, the reason I mentioned that is because you said Swain is a self-contained, kind of engine within himself. And it's interesting that Swain basically has, within the same region as Darius, an entirely different play strategy and win condition. And I think even when you look at the lore of Noxus, it shows exactly that. You have Swain doing one entirely thing, doing his own one strategy, and Darius having an entirely different strategy, even though they are both in the same Noxus region. So I got to give hats off again to Riot and their design team for matching the lore in the game.
Yeah, their lore is getting pretty expansive, and I love anytime you can kind of bring it into the game. I know I had tried my hand at it for a little while of like trying to narrate games by writing fan fiction about like this is what this would look like in universe. It got really difficult really quickly to try and explain why all these regions were teaming up and shit, and eventually I did scrap it, but it was interesting to look into the lore while I was doing research for it.
Now you have me all like, what's LeBlanc have to do with this?
I'm pretty sure she's the leader of the Illuminati of Noxus.
That might be right. Yeah, I actually just looked it up. So Swain is the Vision champion, Darius is the Might champion, and the quote-unquote Faceless is the Guile champion. And that's the one that I don't think that we know yet. So okay. Specifically. But LeBlanc is obviously, or LeBlanc, she is from Noxus as well.
So back to the game at hand. Honestly, not much happening. We're getting a couple of low-to-the-ground units kind of duking it out, trading out for each other. This early game doesn't matter a whole lot. It feels like either player's really going to blow this one open in the late game. But if I feel like Pettish wants to get down Leviathan and then use that as an activator for the Riptide Rex, but with the Cythria the Bold coming down now, with the Hecarim in hand, as well as a Ranger's Resolve on deck, I don't think Riptide Rex ever makes a dent into a Harrowing board out of Stan, who is currently just going to be looking to clear out Pettish's board for a big Harrowing turn.
Yeah, no, Riptide doesn't really do much in this matchup, which is, it's not often that we say that Riptide is not really going to do a whole lot. I'm pretty sure if Leviathan's the best follower in the game, I think Riptide's definitely in the top 5 as far as followers are concerned.
Sounds right.
So to be able to sit there and say that in this particular matchup, Riptide isn't really going to do much is pretty crazy when you think about it. We are going into turn 7 now, and we, like you said, we see the Hecarim come out. He can't play Riptide still because we are on turn 7, so this is going to be a huge attack turn for Stan. And even if a Riptide or Leviathan comes down on turn 8 for Pettish, we're gonna have an attack token on turn 9 for the Harrowing from Stan, and it doesn't matter what Pettish is able to get rid of, it's all gonna come back.
Here we see like Stan actually has a massive attack turn thanks to the Cythria alongside the Hecarim, and that's why Pettish has to play this Swain as a blocker. With the Tiana Crown Guard in hand now for Stan, all of the pieces of Voltron are assembled. Your Harrowings are now going to rally. He has that beautiful turn 8 turn, which is actually incredibly good for him because Pettish is very inclined to throw down his Leviathan on turn 8 or his Riptide Rex on turn 8. Once all that mana is committed, Tiana Crown Guard gets to come down. Suddenly I'm swinging out with my Hecarim Cythria turn again. And while these attacks don't look phenomenal for Stan, they do set up some nice blocks for Pettish. I think he's really just trying to clear his board so that his Harrowing can get more value.
Yeah, and the Fearsome coming in huge here, right? I mean, he's still going to be able to push through a decent amount of damage that will put Pettish within range, within kill range for a follow-up Harrowing or Tiana or whatever. And that's, it's crazy. If you look at Stan's hand, literally, like, starting last turn, I'd say, anybody that's got at least some experience in this game could have said exactly how Stan was going to play his. Like, all you do is just jam your highest cost cards right now and just attack every turn and try to basically just put so much pressure on your opponent that it doesn't really matter what they do. They're still going to take so much damage and lose the game. So we'll see if Tiana next turn, followed by Harrowing, is going to be able to put it away for Stan.
I would think so. So Pettish has two options next turn. You can either play the Leviathan to set up for the Rex on 9. Rex doesn't feel super impactful into a Harrowing turn. Or, if Pettish goes straight to combat to poke with the Zap Sprayfin to turn on the Riptide Rex to try to finish off Stan's board, then Tiana Crownguard gets to come down before the Riptide Rex, and her having Tough is extremely relevant into that kind of line of play.
Which we forgot. Which we literally were like, wait, Tiana has Tough? That's a thing? I thought she did that. Oh my god.
She just does it.
I don't know, man. Like, that card, when there's cards like that are very rarely played, it's those little random effects that you tend to forget sometimes. And not only that, I gave Stan a little bit of credit last time when we were talking about Tiana too. This is one of the first times I've seen Tiana not paired with Callista, because really the only use case that she had previously was Callista and Tiana, with that nice little combo of you summon Tiana, you get to rally again. It's great, it's beautiful. But now we're just seeing it in a straight up aggro deck, and hey, he's made it this far. We'll see if he can go all the way.
We are in sort of the second renaissance of harrowing experimentation here in Legends of Runeterra, and I think that Tiana Crownguard is an absolutely brilliant adaptation out of Stan for that kind of strategy.
Yeah, because then it basically gives you, like, turn 8, 9, and 10, it gives you a win condition during those turns. And you will, by then, almost always draw at least one Tiana and a Harrowing, because you are playing 3 Harrowing and 2 Tiana, so I do like it. I love the strategy.
All right, so Pettish is going for the Riptide Rex play here. We're going to see the poke with the Zap Sprayfin, followed by the Tiana coming down from Stan, and I think this is going to be a disastrous turn for Pettish. I think Stan has this one, even if you manage to clear out most of the board here.
Oh, man. Like,
we could just see...
So, here's the deal, though. So, Pettish actually has some decent blocks lined up, or he could go ahead and attack and force a block possibly out of Stan, which I don't think will happen. But the Harrowing next turn is just going to completely devastate Pettish.
Well, Pettish already attacked with the Zap Sprayfin to turn on the Riptide. Oh, he did already attack.
All right, that's right.
Yeah, and if
okay,
if the Riptide blocks the Tiana, which is the only thing that can actually kill the Tiana,
you have to block with the Swain. Or well, no, you could block with the Zap or the Spiderling, because Cythria doesn't have Fearsome. So this doesn't feel terrible.
I wonder if it's better to Noxian Fervor your Riptide into the Cythria. I don't think you win the game on an open attack, but do you get close enough for Twisted Fate to finish it off? It would be 7, 9, 10. Not quite.
Yeah, I don't think you do that. So what's your idea behind fervoring the Riptide? I mean, you just prevent the Tiana from dying and getting revived with the Harrowing, or... It doesn't really matter.
So Riptide would survive the Noxian Fervor. I just want to kill the Cythria.
Oh,
I just want to clear Stan's board and open attack him next turn.
I feel like if that was the case, I would just go ahead and block with the Swain. Because right now, what is he really saving the Swain for?
7 damage to Stan's face on an open attack.
If he's able to clear the board. Okay. Which...
Oh, never mind. I forgot. Because Stan is attacking, I sillily forgot that Pettish doesn't have the attack token next turn. Yeah. There's no chance for Pettish to win this game. So
that's why I was like, I feel like you just sack the Swain. You get to kill both of them, and then you still have the Noxian Fervor as at least something, some sort of backup to do something. And I think this Harrowing is just going to go ahead and seal the deal. I got to see what comes out, though. I want to see what he's able to kill with these Culling Strikes and the... So I would have preferred an attack out of Stan, I think. An open? Oh, yeah, because then you can play the Harrowing and rally. Yeah, and you clear 1 unit off your opponent's board, most likely. Heal your Cythria back. I mean, I guess it does behoove you to some extent to like kind of keep this Cythria around as a blocker for next turn, but I'm pretty sure your opponent's dying right here. Yeah, I'm actually, I'm inclined to agree with you, right? I'm actually a little bit surprised that, I'm surprised he didn't open attack. There's actually no reason to not open attack because you are going to go ahead and get the free trade off and just revive the Cytherea anyways, and you know you're definitely going to get the Tiana no matter what.
So we're seeing a stun onto the Cytherea here. I believe Twisted Fate probably going to come down after the Harrowing, either red or gold card, doesn't particularly matter. It's going to stun the strongest unit either way. Red card probably makes a little bit more sense so that you push a little damage on the face. So that means Tiana can't attack. Unfortunately for Pettish, you can't respond to your own unit abilities, so he's not going to be able to fervor in response to the red card, I believe.
Yeah, so he's actually...
which means Hecarim will still be able to attack, and your opponent's just going to have, I think, too many attackers for Pettish to hang on to this one.
Yeah, even if he Culling Strike something, or even if he Fervored one of the Sennas, yeah, it's still going to be too much damage. Yep. And he's going to go ahead and surrender, and Pettish getting taken down there by Stan with the Lucian Hecarim deck. I'm loving this deck. I really am. Every time we see this baby play.
So I want to point out real quick, Pettish had 2 Culling Strikes, but he can't actually use them on Hecarim Spectral Riders because Hecarim was going to level off of that attack.
Yeah, and then those Ephemerals would have actually gotten boosted attack from his level up ability. Yep.
Yeah. I love harrowing Hecarim decks for that reason.
A leveled Hecarim is a good Hecarim. All right.
So that means Stan is going to be trying to finish this one off with his Ezreal Twisted Fate.
Yeah.
Or sorry, no, Stan. No, Stan's going to Ezreal. I have Stan up on both screens for some reason. Where'd you go, Pettish?
Uh-oh. Yeah, so we're going to see Ezreal TF versus TF Swain. Now, this is definitely an interesting matchup. It's definitely, I think, can go either way as far as, who has the advantage in this matchup. As usual, if we do see a Leviathan come down from Pettish on turn 8, that might be able to seal the deal. But if Stan is able to get a quickly leveled Ezreal, then it won't really matter if there's a turn 8 Leviathan, because by turn 8 or 9, he'll probably be able to do enough damage to Pettish to win the game anyways.
Typically, Riptides are better against Ezreal decks than just about anything else because it does auto-clear out that Ezreal. It pushes a lot of damage onto your opponent's face, and Pettish has a lot of burn available to him. Noxian Fervor is a card we haven't seen a whole lot of recently, but it is a lot of damage at your face.
Yeah, we do see the Dreadway Deckhand to counter this Jagged Butcher here, played early by Stan. Still going to go ahead, take the attack to get rid of that Keg, which obviously is a pretty smart thing to do with Pettish only being on 1 mana. It leads you to believe, why is it that Pettish went ahead and decided to play that Dreadway Deckhand there when he could have saved the spell mana?
I don't think he cared too much about the barrel dying and just didn't want to take the 2 damage to face.
Gotcha.
Not totally sure if that's correct. Pettish playing really defensively with the life total thus far. We'll see how it works out. Here he gets a Green Glade Caretaker, a card that we've seen a lot of, but Pettish not going to have any barrier effects to take advantage of this one.
Good old Green Glade Caretaker. So we have, okay, yep, so he's going to go ahead and block. Oh, he's not blocking both of them. All right, he goes ahead and...
Does have a Mystic Shot.
Yeah, looks like he's going to play the Mystic Shot instead, which, obviously, I like this, right? This is a better line than just taking the block. You do get the target. I think it's better anyways. The target for Ezreal, and the quicker that Stan can level this Ezreal going into a turn 8 Riptide, the better. And I don't see any reason why he's not going to have a leveled up Ezreal by turn 8.
No, it seems like a pretty reasonable thing to have. I'm kind of curious as to how these couple of next turns are going to play out. Stan has a phenomenal line a little bit later on with this Yordle Grifter getting the warning shot. That could turn into a Riptide, as well as the Yoink spell, Pilfered Goods.
That's the one.
Kind of all in the same turn, but if Pettish can get this Swain down and can actually push through this Petty Officer as well as the Grifter, he's got a pretty good chance of just swinging face with that Swain a couple of times. Thermo Beam is really the only card in Stan's deck that takes care of that one. Here we're going to see TF red card to clear away one of those pesky 3 attack units. And I'm trying to figure, because, both players are going to get their ideal turn 8, right? Pettish is going to be able to get down his Leviathan. Stan's going to be able to get down his Riptide Rex. Unfortunately, it kind of depends on which one comes down second.
Yeah, and actually, hold on. If I go, let's see, 5, 6, 7.
Stan will have the attack token.
Yeah, Stan will have it on 8, which means... So Stan would actually technically be playing the Riptide first, which would be better for Pettish if that is what happens. But we do see Pettish now drawing into a Riptide. So now we're gonna have that situation where I feel like we have all the time when both players are playing Riptide. It's like, thou who gets the last Riptide down will win the game, and that may very well be the case here.
See, I always think I feel worse playing the second Riptide because I feel like my opponent's Riptide just soaks up more of my shots, and the board that I wanted to clear is just still there in a larger capacity. I feel like I never think of Riptide as a unit. I just think that like he comes down, he does his thing, and then he immediately dies. It's not often that Riptide actually sticks around to get some combat
It's just
value.
an 8 mana card effect, right?
Yeah, I mean, like it obviously like they're probably gonna have to block it or like use a card on it, but only having 4 HP, you know, for an 8 drop, Riptide usually doesn't live to fight twice.
And I want to go ahead and take a little bit of a closer look at Stan's Ezreal TF deck here as well. Is opting to go with the one Zaunite Urchin. I have seen a lot of people go with sometimes even more than one Zaunite, maybe 2 or 3 sometimes. That card is definitely seeing some popularity nowadays. I think it'll see more popularity with Lulu recently announced. Just saying. Really love Lulu so far. Professor Von Yip. Anyways, we also see 3 Yordle Grifters, 3 Petty Officers, so pretty standard build on the side of Stan with this Ezreal TF deck right here.
I feel like it'd be weird to see like a non-standard Twisted Fate or
Yeah.
Ezreal deck at this point. Like, what would that? You put in your PZ removal suite. That's about all anybody can ask you to do.
And at this point, I don't even think it's a question of whether or not you put 2 or 3 Riptides in. You're just like, can I play 4? Is that an option? Can I play a 4th Riptide?
I mean, all right. Here's a question: is Riptide a crocodile or an alligator?
Ooh. Has anybody legit answered this question?
Yes, it's a shark. Shit, that was a trick question. Look at him.
Wait, what?
Neither. He's a
Wait,
shark.
whoa, no. Hold on. Let me analyze this picture a little bit more. I'm not gonna be so quick to just agree with you here.
Yeah, caught you sleeping here.
You might be right actually. Hold on. All right, let's see here. Okay, yeah, it's probably a shark. Okay, I think you got me. God, why did you get it? See, you made the question so serious. I felt like I was inclined to have to pick one of those choices. There's no third option, man. Jesus.
That's how I get you. Ooh, Pettish actually going to lose his Swain here, lining up blocks onto Stan's Yordle Grifters. Twisted Fate has stuck around for a while, but Stan has so much removal for it that, pretty smartly of Pettish, he's not going to play for that level up. Twisted Fate's pick a card still gives a fair amount of value, even if you're not trying to level the Twisted Fate with it, but I don't like playing it when you're not going to have spell mana and when you have so many, high-cost units in your deck that you just might have to discard.
And we'll see what Stan decides to go with next here. Are we using sticky notes today to track Ezreal?
They wasted so many yesterday, but I'm busting
Killing
back out.
trees,
Come here.
killing trees over there, man.
The tree's already dead.
Um,
It's just died for nothing.
So we're seeing, okay, so right now, with Pettish having Leviathan and a Riptide, and Stan only having 1 Riptide, I'm going to go ahead and give the little bit of an edge to Pettish for now, especially getting this Swain down prior to Riptide potentially coming down next turn. I imagine Stan will play Riptide on his attack turn on turn 8, though, to potentially clear this Swain. But Swain's a big boy. Swain's going to be a tough unit to actually clear with the Riptide.
Well, Stan has a stolen Ravenous block as well, so only 1 shot onto the Swain is going to be necessary to actually take it down. Stan has so much removal in his hand right now. I don't think he's really afraid of anything that Pettish can do, but Riptide, at the end of the day, is an RNG card. If you see, for example, 7 shots rather, like line up onto this Twisted Fate, that's a possibility.
Listen, if that happens, now that you just said that, that is the definition of caster curse Boulevard, okay? That is not going to be good.
I like the power that makes me feel. Caster cursing's not a bad thing for me. I will caster voodoo my way to the top if I have to.
That is absolutely a terrible RNG result. Like, for Pettish's well-being, I hope that doesn't happen, but we'll see. And actually opting to attack and put the pressure on with both, I mean, I don't think this really matters one way or the other with how much removal Stan has. I mean, Pettish has got to figure that Stan has a Static Shock in hand now. Maybe just trying to force it out. But it looks like this is the Static Shock. Okay, so Stan is thinking about playing the Static Shock here. And I don't really think it matters, though, because like you said, if Riptide comes down and even gets 1 shot on the Swain, Ravenous Flock will kill it, and Pettish doesn't really have the tools to be able to go wide enough to stand up to Stan here on this following attack turn.
Trying to figure out how this specific interaction is about to play out because Pettish does have the Noxian Fervor, can try to kill his Twisted Fate to either, go to the face of Stan. It seems a little more likely that he wants to try to kill the Yordle Grifter, preserve some of the health on his Swain. And then if he wants, he does have something like the Make It Rain to activate his own Riptide next turn, but, I don't know how inclined Stan's actually going to be to go for an open Riptide.
Yeah, and all right, so you think Stan actually won't go for an open Riptide?
I mean, the board of Pettish is pretty much going to be just Swain at the end of this turn, and it's going to be a Swain that's been hit with a Static Shock even.
Just Ravenous Flock, yeah.
Doesn't even use the Noxian Fervor to protect the Swain. Now even something like this Make It Rain will just take care of the Swain.
So maybe...
I don't know how close the Swain is to leveling, though. Pettish could level it in response with something like the Make It Rain.
Yeah, you might be right as far as this Riptide is concerned, right? Like, maybe Pettish is thinking, okay, if I just commit so little to the field right now and devalue Stan's Riptide as much as possible, then he actually won't want to play it. Or if he does play it, he won't get the target effects off on the Ezreal now. It'll just be 7 damage to face. So... although I really don't think he's going to have a problem leveling Ezreal regardless. He has another Make It Rain in hand, Noxian Fervor, Ravenous Flock, so I don't really know if that's going to be able to save Pettish here.
So if Stan goes for an open Riptide, that is, just 8 damage at Pettish's face.
And an open attack would then... Well, actually, all right, so Leviathan has 8 health, could pretty easily block the Riptide as well, but he does decide to go with the open attack with the Dreadway Deckhand. Okay, so this has gone way differently than we both suspected. Both players basically opting to not take turn 8 in their chance to potentially play either Leviathan or Riptide. Basically, in my opinion, just both playing around Riptide. So now we're just going to have a staring match.
I think it really behooves Stan to go for the open attack instead of using a warning shot. You do still want to get the Riptide down on the side of Stan this turn. You just want to see what your opponent develops post-combat. If he wants to go for the Riptide, can still fire 6 damage to the face of Pettish. So at the end of the day, the same amount of damage represented, but it looks like he decides that Twisted Fate is not a juicy enough target to entice his wrath, and both players just going to mirror some Zap Spray Fins at each other. Pettish looks like he was hovering the Make It Rain, wondering if he can actually take advantage of the Attune effect on the Zap Spray Fin, but not going to be the case this time around, as he did go for the blue card, filled up his spell mana.
I'm telling you, both players right now are like, I refuse to be the first one to play Riptide. Like, that's what they're both thinking, and I'd be very curious to see if Pettish takes the opportunity to play it at the beginning of his turn, or if he does play anything, if Stan decides to play it. Like, I really feel like neither of them wants to play Riptide. At least first, anyways. First.
Pettish could be a little more inclined now that he has a second Riptide.
Right, looks like... Okay, so no, Pettish is going with the open attack, with the TF, and the Zap Spray Fin again. Which, I mean, this is not bad because the TF will be able to trade with something on board, so this will force some sort of removal out from Stan if he does have it. It looks like he is opting to trade the Zap Spray Fin here.
Yeah, I don't think he wants to give Pettish the sort of free activator for the Riptide. Actually, how many Riptide is Stan? Oh, okay, yeah, this is... No, this is Swain. Is he? Okay, he's only running 2 Riptide. I was about to say, usually we only see 1 in the Swain decks nowadays, as they've kind of moved away from the Pilfer package. But Pettish doesn't actually have easy ways to activate the Riptide. It really is just, combat or Leviathan. He doesn't have access to warning shots. So I'm a little surprised not to see Stan throw like his Spiderling under the bus to take the Riptide off the table for Pettish this turn, though maybe he is just kind of daring Pettish to play the Riptide, and we'll see if he can actually sniff that one out. Maybe throw down Leviathan instead, but there is a chance that Riptide from Stan will just kill that one. But Stan's going to play the Leviathan of his own that he did steal from Pettish instead, and now... the board might be a little bit too wide for Pettish to feel comfortable going for a Riptide. Not going to be the case. Here comes the Riptide Rex. Where are these cannons lining up shit? Show me the money.
Not on the Leviathan. That's for one thing. So the Leviathan is going to go ahead and survive here.
He's got Ravenous Flock.
Yeah, he's got Ravenous Flock. They both have Ravenous Flock.
I was about to say, a perfect Riptide Rex actually would have cleared the board of Stan, but... putting the Leviathan down to 4 HP going to feel just as good anyway because you do have this Ravenous available to you.
Better. I think this was probably the best result for Pettish, now able to use this Ravenous Flock, and also even perfectly utilize his mana. So that is what we like to see here in Mana Efficiency 101, saving yourself exactly 3 mana, not burning a single one. So it feels good.
Hold on, are we teaching these people math, vocabulary, or game mechanics?
A
You
lot
want
of
me to
stuff
teach
now.
them about Legends of Runeterra?
And apparently lore too. So we can all.
We'll teach them what little we do or don't know about lore. It's kind of a grab bag
Yeah,
here.
the lore's questionable at best.
Because sometimes I remember snippets of lore from like 2011 that just haven't existed for 6 years.
Didn't they like axe all that lore from back then too?
Yeah.
So it's like
also, so
it all got changed.
if you were looking at the official league lore website, I think it's like Universe of Legends. You might have noticed if you click on the Targon region, there are 7 champions. That is a clerical error on the side of Riot. If you go to the champions, Aphelios is listed as having Targon as his region, but he is not listed as a champion under the Targon region page.
I think there's actually a couple champions that I think they've forgotten on a few different regions on there, to be honest with you.
There are a couple of champions that they've moved their region to just be Runeterra as a whole.
Oh. Okay, that's interesting. So maybe there's a hidden region that will be revealed soon. I don't know.
I think they just didn't want to tie him to one region because they like wander around so much. Because I think Bard was originally Targon, but now he's just listed as Runeterra. But Stan getting down the Riptide does mean that Pettish could play Leviathan now pretty safely here and start to develop that Leviathan Swain combo. But Stan, don't forget, Stan's an Ezreal deck. And Pettish is down to 8 life. That is not a lot against a deck like this.
Yeah, and unfortunately, due to Stan having, looks like he disconnected from Discord, so we cannot currently see his hand. We don't know if he has an Ezreal, but honestly, this late in the game, we knew that he didn't draw one up until a couple turns ago. It's a pretty good shot that he's gonna either draw one soon or already has drawn one. And if that's the case, yeah, it's pretty much just game. For Stan, because I think there's only one warning shot. Is one other warning shot in his hand actually not visible to Pettish? Okay,
yes.
That's what I figured. So it was a drawn warning shot.
Last time we saw him, he did have 3 warning shots
and
in hand.
He played 1 for the Riptide, so yeah, okay.
Yes.
Gotcha.
I don't even need a notepad to keep track of that one. I know how many warning shots are in a player's hand. I'm aware of the lethal ranges.
So yeah, I mean, right there, that's 2. That's 6 damage with just the warning shots if he is able to get an Ezreal on the field. Plus, I think he has another Make It Rain in hand as well after we see this one come out. This one actually hitting all 3 targets, likely leveling the Ezreal for sure.
Almost certainly. I think Riptide itself got off 4 targets before everything died. Might have only been 3, but getting out 6 targets in one turn does lead me to believe that the Ezreal has been leveled here. It's a pretty likely option.
And I think there was a Mystic Shot earlier too, so we know there was at least 1 target. I can't remember any others. Yeah, I can't remember any others. Bad memory. So we'll see what Pettish decides to do in response here. Not much he can do. I imagine he's just taking his time to think about some stuff and possibly bluff that he has something to Stan. Will probably likely just pass here.
I mean, what could you possibly... If I saw that correctly, Stan's Ezreal was at 6 out of 8, so even if you do something like Culling Strike your Spiderling, you're still not denying the level of the Ezreal on the side of Stan, who now has a pretty good shot at game here.
Yeah, we'll see if Pettish decides to do anything. Again, I don't really think he has any plays here. I imagine he'll pass back over to Stan. And I'm trying to think... So, as Stan, do you attack just to potentially get the trade? I mean, obviously, I don't think Pettish is actually going to take the trade on the Leviathan, so he'll probably just chump block with the Spiderling. So, I imagine you attack here as Stan, right?
Yeah, there's really no great big punish. I mean, you could be a little concerned about Pettish going for an open attack with the Leviathan. You go to block with the Rex, and then he removes the Riptide Rex with something like a Ravenous Flock, which then pushes through a lot more damage than you're comfortable with because that Leviathan does have Overwhelm. All of a sudden... that Leviathan has gotten through 11 damage from the start of round, the attack, and then the next start of round, and you could be worried about your lethal range there. I think no attack out of Stan does kind of imply that he's not ending this game anytime soon. Maybe we don't have the Ezreal in his hand.
I like you just kept a completely straight face as the cat's tail just slowly walks by your face. Good job. I give you credit for that, man.
Thank you.
One card I do want to mention, actually, Ravenous Flock. Very quietly, I think, or maybe not quietly, but at least in my eyes, pretty quietly. This card went from not really being played on release. When it first got released, people definitely thought it was good, but it just didn't see a lot of play. And then now that we're seeing so much Swain TF and all these different decks that play Swain now, Swain Sejuani, all this stuff. Ravenous Flock is just such good removal with things like Make It Rain. It's absolutely nuts to see, and almost always a 3 of here. Although What was it? Culling Strike that you said was the most played card now? Yeah.
Yep, that was the most played card for this tournament.
So, which doesn't surprise me either. So, just Noxus showing how good of removal it really has. We do see a leveled up Swain here.
All right, if we see a leveled up Ezreal to stand, this could be the ball game because Pettish actually has a decent shot at lethal this turn. You know, can play the Arachnoid Sentry onto any blocker stand plays. Could follow up with a Make It Rain onto a different blocker to go ahead and stun that out thanks to the Swain ability, and then push through a large amount of damage. Though I think he is just a little bit shy of lethal. Ooh, and Petty Officer.
Stop.
I mean, this actually is an enticing Make It Rain out of Pettish. It would kill the, the weaker Precious Pet as well as stun the Petty Officer. So, yeah, a consideration to be made. But I think maybe he wants to hang that around for next turn as his activator for the Riptide Rex.
Arachnoid Sentry also another option here to stun out the Petty Officer. Still allow for this Swain to get an attack through, and it looks like he is going to go that route. I would be so surprised to not see an Ezreal here. Actually going with the Make It Rain maybe instead.
I think the Make It Rain here might take away a lot of your chances at lethal.
I think this is worse.
Because you don't have this Riptide activator, unless you can find another one off of Zap Sprayfin.
Yeah, I don't know. I would have, I got to agree, I would have liked saving the Make It Rain there, and yeah, wow, now we see the perfect, mana efficient, again, Thermo Beam for 7 damage onto the Swain, but that does tap Stan out of mana, so we are going to see at least, ooh, that could matter. That could matter damage-wise. Wow.
That's a lot of damage.
Yeah. Wow, okay, so now, I mean, a Riptide to the face would be lethal. I'm not sure if that will actually happen, if Stan won't, play any units there, but this is a close game.
And he picks up an activator for the Riptide Rex. Pettish getting completely rewarded for the line of play that he has decided to go with. Does have that activator now. Does Stan have an Ezreal? And does he even have the capabilities to end the game if he does have one? I believe so. 2 warning shot in hand representing 6 damage.
Riptide. That's almost about as good as an Ezreal, especially because I think we know he has another warning shot in hand.
I think, oh god, this is so scary because Pettish is also one off of lethal after he plays his own Riptide.
Wow.
But yeah, I think you're right. I'm pretty sure Stan does still have 1 warning shot available, and that is just going to be lethal as soon as Pettish locks in this Death's Hand then.
Now, is there any reason that you wouldn't want to just play the warning shot in response to this Death's Hand? Like, that doesn't get punished, right?
No, but Pettish hasn't locked into Death's Hand yet, so Stan hasn't had an option to play a card.
Oh, that warning shot's going to feel so bad. If we're right, because again, unfortunately, Stan disconnected with our view of his hand. If we're right, and there is that warning shot left, that's exactly lethal. And,
have I ever been wrong?
Do you want me to answer that?
You can't answer that because the answer no. I've never been wrong in my life. Here comes the Riptide, and this should just now be the warning shot out of Stan to go ahead and finish this one off.
Feels bad on the side of the Pettish, but Stan gonna go ahead and advance to the finals, having not lost a single game in this second chance qualifier so far. Wow.
And I do believe that qualifies Stan for the tournament next weekend, as I believe we'll be sending the top 2 competitors. Stan, the winner's bracket grand finalist. Pettish going to fall down to the loser's bracket to play against the winner of the loser's semis that we're going to have for you guys here just in a couple of minutes.
The winner of the loser's semis. Yeah, that does qualify him 100%. And pretty excited, too, because Stan, as we discussed previously, is a Brazilian player. And the Brazilian scene is on point, man. I love the Brazilian scene. There's a lot of good players. Stan gonna be able to give Brazil some solid representation in this PCS Trophy Grand Finals next week. So super excited to see him advance. And Pettish will still have, in a tournament of second chances, a second chance in the next round against, I don't know if we have an update yet. Or no,
I believe we're casting that game, so I don't think we're...
Yeah, never mind. So sorry, I'm used to yesterday where, like, there were other games happening at the same time. So we will actually now be casting the game that will decide who will actually play Pettish in the loser's bracket for the loser's bracket finals to then have a shot to play Stan. So Pettish could theoretically play Stan again in the winner's finals, depending on how these next couple of rounds go here.
I think it's very rare for someone to get 2-0'd and then come back and win the grand finals from the losers bracket, though, against the same kind of person. But I did want to touch on what you said earlier. Yeah, Brazil. It feels really weird to say this. Brazil is hard carrying North America, which feels weird to say because Brazil's in South America, but you know, server-wise, they play on the North American server.
Yeah, Brazil carries NA. So I'm just gonna throw that out there. But yeah,
I don't know if I can name 5 American players, like United States players.
Wait, 5 United. All right, BBG. All right, congrats to Stan. Definitely going to get that spot in the PCS Trophy tournament. We have some Brazilian representation, so awesome to see. We'll see if he can put it away next weekend. But as always, everybody, stay healthy, stay positive. I hope shit just works for you, and peace out.